Good evening and welcome to CYC News for today, the 14th of December 2014 and the 5th of the Cat 1731 AD. I'm David Nada.
And I'm Christina Maurice. In today's headlines, His Holiness Pope Tawadros receives the head of the Interfaith and Intercultural Dialogue Center of Austria, as well as a delegation from the German Anglican Church. Egyptian officials retain Christian convert Bishoy Armya in custody despite a court ordering his release. 11 killed and 20 girls are abducted by Boko Haram. Christian children beheaded by ISIS for refusing to convert to Islam. And as the year draws to a close, just how well did we sleep in 2014?
In our main story, His Holiness Pope Tawadros II, Pope and Patriarch of Alexandria, has this week received Faisal bin Muammar, the head of the Interfaith and Intercultural Dialogue Center of Austria, in the papal headquarters in Cairo. The centre was established by the Saudi King Abdullah ibn Abdulaziz 2 years ago in the Austrian capital, Vienna, with the aim of building communication and reconciliation among people of all faiths and cultures. The heads of the centre held a conference in September, which was attended by His Grace Bishop Marcus, Bishop of Kemia, as a delegate of His Holiness Pope Tawadros II.
His Holiness Pope Tawadros II has also welcomed a delegation from the German Evangelical Church this week. The delegation was led by Bishop Heinrich Bedford-Strom, General President of the German Anglican Church. The two religious leaders met at the papal headquarters in Cairo. The meeting addressed the state of Christians in the Arab and Middle East region and conditions of those Christians displaced from Iraq and Syria, as well as the present climate for Christians in Egypt, praising Egyptian President Abdel Fattah El-Sisi for his work in this area. The delegation also commended the idea of an Egyptian Church Council, which would aim at reconciliation among the churches. In his address to the German group, His Holiness Pope Tawadros spoke about the history and heritage of the Coptic Church, adding that unity between the Christian denominations will be achieved through prayers, dialogue and love. When asked about the state of the church in Egypt, His Holiness said that the church is protected by God and by the Egyptians.
Still in Egypt, where serious questions are being raised regarding freedom of belief in the country with the continuing detention of Christian convert from Islam, Bishoy Armya, inside an execution chamber. Bishoy's lawyer, Karam Gabriel, has said that Egyptian judicial authorities are discriminatory in this case because Bishoy has openly declared his conversion to Christianity. Gabriel emphasized that Bishoy is being detained in an execution chamber as a kind of intellectual, physiological and moral terrorism, adding that Bishoy had told him in November that he was beaten and tortured after leaving the liberation session. He has also filed reports to the public prosecutor and the president of the National Council for Human Rights against the Egyptian Minister for the Interior and against the Director of the Department of Corrections. Gabriel also added that the judge considering Bishoy's case had put the Holy Quran on the documents of the case, meaning the sentence of 5 years imprisonment was issued based on the judge's religious affiliation and not the law. In a subsequent ruling, a judge of El-Minya Misdemeanor Court had ruled for the release of Bishoy Armya. The state security prosecution at Cairo decided to retain him in custody pending other charges. The prosecution has also accused him of contempt of Islam and publishing false news, raised questions about the return of unjust practices of the state security, which were part of the reason for the ouster of former President Mohammed Hosni Mubarak.
Over to Nigeria, where 11 people were killed and 20 young women were kidnapped by Boko Haram insurgents as part of the group's effort to re-establish an Islamic caliphate in Nigeria's predominantly Christian city of Lassa. Boko Haram insurgents invaded Lassa, seeking to impose Sharia law throughout Nigeria. Survivors were quoted as saying the town had been stormed last month, but the invaders were repelled, only to return with tanks and explosives. An escapee of Lassa town has said that Boko Haram is fully in charge of the town and has declared the town a caliphate. Church buildings have been destroyed in Lassa, including the Church of the Brethren in Nigeria, the largest denomination in Borno State. Another survivor, Daniel Ibrahim, reported that most of those killed were elderly and most of these abducted were young girls. Christians make up 51% of Nigeria's population of 158.2 million, while Muslims account for 45% and live mainly in the north.
Over to Iraq, where reports have surfaced of Christian children being beheaded by the Islamic State for refusing to convert to Islam. British newspaper The Mirror reported that Islamic State is still killing Christians in Iraq, even after they escaped to Nineveh, which they thought would be safer. militants have hounded out and killed huge numbers of Christians after they refused to convert to Islam, including threatening to kill one Christian man's children if he did not convert to Islam. In another reported incident, 4 children, all aged under 15, said, "No, we love Jesus. We have always loved Jesus. We have always followed Jesus. Jesus has always been with us," before their heads were cut off by Islamic State militants.
Over to India now, where the Archbishop of Delhi, Anil Kuto, has said that Christians in India live in fear after a major church was deliberately attacked last week. He added that with the control of political ideology today, we as Christians feel that we are not equal Indian citizens. Archbishop Kuto joined other members of the clergy to appeal to Narendra Modi, the new Indian Prime Minister-elect, to protect Christians in India. Modi, who belongs to the National Party, won the elections by a large majority last May. Although he did not accuse the Prime Minister directly, Archbishop of Delhi said certain political forces have claimed on several occasions that all Indian people should follow a certain national religion, and those who did not are not real Indians.
Over to Sydney, where intelligence agencies believe a teenager and her 20-year-old friend have become the first Australian women to join terrorists in Syria and offer themselves as potential jihadi brides. The pair, aged 18 and 20, are believed to have links with the Somali community and flew out of Sydney in the past fortnight after lying to their families about why they were travelling. While there have been cases of women joining husbands or boyfriends in the Syrian war zone, this is believed to be the first case of young women going there independently. If the pair travel to the Islamic State group's stronghold in northern Syria, they'll face a jail term of up to 10 years if they return to Australia.
In health news, Jawbone, the manufacturer of the popular fitness tracker UP, has gathered sleep data from more than 1 million individual users across the globe to reveal just how well the world slept in 2014. While some observations for the United States were as expected, including that people's sleep patterns were disturbed at the start and end of daylight savings time, others were more enlightening. 3-day weekends and major holidays were reasons to get a little more sleep. In Australia, Labor Day ranked the highest, with people sleeping an extra of 27 minutes on average, followed by Christmas Day, with people slept an extra 25 minutes on average. On a global scale, 10 of the 11 countries accounted for staying up for past their bedtimes and woke for later the following day. When it came time to ring in the new year, China's numbers only shifted slightly, since Chinese New Year is celebrated several weeks later. Canadian users reported their maximum sleep during their Thanksgiving, and both Italy and France slept more time during the weekdays of August, consistently catching up on sleep. The report also looked into the effect of the 2014 World Cup on the average sleeping habits of fans around the world. British fans lost 23 minutes of sleep on June 14 to watch their team's match against Italy, making it their worst night's sleep of the year. Overall, the countries that experienced the most sleep deprivation due to late game times included Germany, Belgium, Greece and the Netherlands, whilst Japan and Australia had the opposite problem of many European countries. Instead of delaying bedtimes to watch the games, fans in these countries woke up far earlier, disturbing their typical sleep patterns much the same.
Over to sport now. Australia and India played their first test match of the series. This was 2 weeks after the 25-year-old Philip Hughes was struck by a cricket ball during a Sheffield Shield match, passing away shortly after in hospital. Both teams entered the ground with black armbands in memory of their fallen comrade. 63 seconds of applause followed in honour of Hughes' final score of 63 not out. The shirts of every member of the Australian team is emblazoned with Hughes' test cap number of 408. The match was all the more special, with Hughes' closest mates David Warner, Michael Clark and Steve Smith all scoring centuries in the game, with Australia declaring on 7 for 517.
Spanish football giants Real Madrid sealed their 20th victory in a row in all competitions as Cristiano Ronaldo scored 2 more goals in a victory at Almeria. Real have won every match since 13th of September and are 4 off the world record of Brazilian's Curitiba in 2011. The last time Real Madrid failed to win a match was their 2-1 defeat by Atletico Madrid almost 3 months ago. They broke Barcelona's Spanish record of 18 wins in a row on Tuesday against Ludogorets in the Champions League, and few predicted anything other than a comfortable 20th consecutive victory in Friday's trip to Andalusia.
And finally, defending Premier League champions Manchester City, which acquired Australian A-League side Melbourne City in January, will join European champions Real Madrid and Roma FC in a 3-team International Champions Cup in Melbourne in July 2015. The tournament was held in the United States last year, with Manchester United beating Liverpool 3-1 in the final, but the competition has been expanded to include 3 teams facing off in Melbourne.
And that's all for CYC News for today. Stay tuned for more Christian content on CYC. I'm Christina Maurice.
And I'm David Nara. And from the CYC studios in Sydney, Australia, good night and God bless.